And that's the God honest truth. We not doing none of that stuff. But one thing I saw was Jennifer Hudson, and I looked, like I said, I looked into her story one time, and things just didn't sit right with me. For you know those events that transpire, and then you reach this certain level of stardom, and it's almost like a pattern with a lot of people, and we we tend to overlook so many things, and I keep trying to stress the fact that Kanye West said something real significant, and people tend to overlook that, but you know people are followers of any and everything that glitters, and we have a history of doing that. When we see the golden calf, and how easy it is for people to follow things that are shiny. But yeah, I seen that, and that's something that was pointed out to me. How those events transpired. Then right after that, she had a certain level of stardom. So what I experienced was around a year ago, or maybe about a year ago. My family was um, encouraging me to go and get surgery. I had like some cosmetic surgery that I need. I have a lymphoma, and it's not life threatening, and it's not in a place where it causes me any kind of discomfort. But what I knew about the lymphoma removal was that you watch Dr. Pimple Popper MD, you watch her, and you seen things, lymphomas that look crazy, and when they're removed, it's removed. I mean, one, two, three, and it's done. And it's almost like it's kind of like um I'm not gonna say it's like therapeutic for some people, but sometimes it's I forget what they call it, but or some people might say it's satisfying to see them do that because of I don't know. For me, I don't like it, but just to get foreknowledge of the procedure. So when around this time, a few family members of mine were saying that they was going to be millionaires and blah 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 blah, you know, and you knew that people was acting weird and acting funny, you know, and the way that they was trying to get you to go about having that procedure done, it was like they have a certain personal interest in it, you know. So the doctor told me that they needed me to sign a form, and while they was telling me about the form, they was telling me that if anything, you're giving your consent that if anything happened to you, they'll be, they would be absolved from that. And the way that they was telling me, it was kind of, like, you know, like yielding, like, you know. So the first thing that came to my mind was the plastic surgery that Kanye West's mother had, you know, and that's something that she signed up for. So it wasn't like it was something that they forced her to do. She was maybe under the impression that this was going to be a simple procedure, and after that, I'm gonna be you know I'm gonna be fine and dandy. Even Kanye West could have been the one that said, "Mom, go and get this done, or go get that done," and then the end result of that was a botched procedure. And with that, you are able to, sue the hospital and get millions off of that, because this is medical malpractice. So what I've seen was like, hold on, why are they so adamant about me going to get this procedure? And they claim that they're going to be millionaires, and so we do know that there's um, cults that operate off of um, sacrifice, family members or whatever they have. But we do know that there's a pattern with people that obtain a certain level of success. And one thing that was pointed out to me was that I recently seen this woman. Her name is um, Tiana Taylor, and she was on Jennifer Hudson's show. And I seen the sign, the same hand symbols that Jennifer Hudson was using. I seen her using the same pose, and that's the thing about these these cults. Everything is about sign and symbolism with them, and you seen her have her hands up in a certain way, and it's like this, and that is something that you see with a statue. It's the statue of Moloch, and Moloch is child sacrifice. And you're not accusing anybody of anything, but you're just saying that these symbols have meanings behind them. Like, they have ancient and deep rooted meanings behind the symbols that they have. Like, some people might associate the six this star with the star of David, the star of Moloch, but they precede that. They go way further back than those. But those are things that people attribute to these statues and use them as figures of worship. Like, they'll worship these particular items and these statues that they create. We've seen that. We've seen that in the story with the Israelites, where Aaron created a golden calf, and people became impatient and they needed something to worship, so they created the golden calf. And that's the thing. We have the Golden Globe, the Emmys, and all these things. They become statues of worship, and people, they'll sell their soul for these things, because to them they are worth things. They're worth something. But you've seen Tiana Taylor, and then you start to see her, more and more, like in advertisements. Like, Meta has used her as an actor in their ad, and she's dancing and doing all sorts of things. But you know I was just able to capture that. And then you did see Oprah Winfrey do that same symbol. You see them using that sign, and it's all relative to capturing you know capturing these acts on camera, and then using that image. But to that untrained eye, they don't know what they're looking at. But these are them having that same sign. And then you would see that they all have something in common. Oprah, Tiana Taylor, and Jennifer Hudson, they all lost siblings. They all lost siblings, and after they lost siblings, they had rise to a certain level of success. And again, you're just being you know as you know. And we recently seen, the baby, the baby, and he was canceled, and he just made a video, and now his video is all over the place. And when you see him in the video, he's with this young kid, and the young kid is so dog. The young kid belongs to his brother, and his brother um he passed away, he through suicide. And I believe that Oprah's brother died from AIDS, and Tiana Taylor's brother died from cancer, and Jennifer Hudson's brother and sister, and I believe mother as well, they all died violently. So, we wanted to understand, like, why is there such a pattern with these successful people, and they're not, things aren't being, you know. So we talk about Puff Daddy and how Puff Daddy was such a monster and this, that, and the third. But what about, you know, things that you've been told about? Kanye West told you about a lot of stuff, you know, whether it was a rant or whatever it was. He can't take none of that stuff back. You can't say what you said about your mother and unsay it. It's already said, you know. And as you can see through his level of success, that's not just a natural level of success. It's real level. That's a real high level. He's just not somebody that made a hit record and then he's just ushered away. He became part of the inner crowd. We have pictures of him shaking Donald Trump's hand like he's bigger than Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump could never be who he is. You understand? If we got pictures of that, of him in the White House, dapping up the president and, just smiling and the cameras on you. So all these people are, cultists. That's just my perception of it. This is what I see, and these are the people that people are influenced by. High society, and high society has a very dark and sinister thing with it. In any and everybody associated with it has something dark attached to them. And in order to get a part of that certain level, that certain that status, you have to be dark and sinister as well. We see these people smiling and dancing and cheering, but they all have been through a certain dark phase in their life where you can't not allow that to affect you emotionally. If I was one that experienced that, that type of stuff, because I have a soul, I wouldn't be, you know, cheering. It wouldn't be all cheer for me. I wouldn't say it'd be all doom and gloom, but it wouldn't be, you know, as I wouldn't be as chipper. My thing would be if those events happen to me, I would speak about that and be a voice against all sorts of violence, all sorts of especially black on black crime. If I lived in urban community, I would be the voice for that, especially with my platform. It wouldn't be, girl, come on down here, girl. Look, those is nice shoes, girl. Where you get them shoes from? I wouldn't care too much about fashion, especially when I knew that there was drugs and stuff going on, and these things had led to envy and jealousy, which ultimately led to, that being the demise of, almost my whole family, but these people, to me, they seem more soulless than anything, and Oprah Winfrey, for her to have this certain status, and she's not an advocate against all sorts of AIDS or any kind of disease that comes out that can be um, detrimental to especially a certain group of people, and you're not being the advocate, but you're more interested in other topics, you know and then you have I don't even know who that woman is, Tiana. I've never seen her before, never heard of her before, and I just seen it. It was shown to me. That picture was actually shown to me. Like, yo, look at that. Okay, yeah, her hands are like that. Why are they like that? And why is her hands always like that? And why is Oprah's hands like that? Well, go see what they all have in common. What do you mean? Go see what they all have in common. Okay, let me go see what they all have in common. Oh, they all lost siblings. You know, all of them. Early. You know, Oprah's, I believe, was in '89 or something like that. Then um her certain level surpassed, all level of level of success. Then you have um um Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson. Now you playing in movies, and you went through the same process that Oprah went through. You get to a certain level, then you lose weight, then girl, you look fabulous. Then they the same procedure. Then she started playing in movies, and her movies get nominated for Emmy awards, or whatever kind of award she won, and then you have Tiana Taylor, and you're going to see her win an award. She's going to win the award because she played in a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. So these are these are you know patterns, patterns, of straight cult like setup, where if you don't if you're not paying attention to certain signs and certain symbols, then you wouldn't be able to identify certain things. But because you do see that, then you you can you know make a comparison, and that's what I did. I just compare. I mean, like I said, you could be wrong, but why is it such a coincidence? And again, there's no degree of coincidence. It's coincidence. It's coincidence. There's no level of coincidences. Coincidences are coincidences. So why are they all, you know, these they have this level of success, but it came along with them having this history of um um yeah, because that's what I seen, I foreseen with my surgery. You know, they was going to be able to, you know, use that as their stepping stone, like with my nephew, and he'll be an artist or entertainer, and they'll probably ask some stuff about his uncle, like, yeah, your uncle, he was a real one, you know, and they'll glorify you, but knowing that you was their means to fame and stardom. So that's something that I understand about a certain group of people, and how you know these people need to they have to turn from their ways. These ways have to be um, brought to the forefront, and then they actually have to change them. You know, you can't go back into the past and you know, change certain events. Like if those things happen to their family members, then you know those people need justice. It's not saying that they did it personally, but you know certain things that they sign up for opens the door for them to actually do certain things. This is just how it goes. You know, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This isn't anything. If you don't understand, then you know, look at the three of them. You know, go look at all three of them. You will see, you know, there's a pattern. You know, why? You know, her brother was good. You know, he was all right. Then he just passed away from cancer. You know, and these things, you know, cancer and AIDS and stuff like that. These become man-made diseases, and once these diseases become um, able to be, you know, communicable, like they can actually communicate it to you, like make it present in you, then you know these are things that we have to, you know, investigate. But a lot of people don't investigate because, like I said, more people is more clones than, you know, original people. So if you're more of a clone than anything, then I don't think that your soul would be present. So a lot of people might not even have souls in order for them to even feel anything, you know. But if there is foul play behind these people, no matter who they are or how long it's been, you know, justice has to be justice. You know, justice have to be justice. But that's just, you know, something that I see, and I'm not sure how many other people see it, but I do see it. I see signs and I see symbols, you know, and there's no way for you to not see them, you know, especially when they're right in front of you. I don't think everybody see them because everybody's not addressing them, you know, and no one's speaking about it. Everybody's trying to be that, you know, but again, there this it's on every, you know, everywhere, and being that, you know, now we have social media. Social media plays a huge role in the wicked having more access to people. You know, the wicked can slither into your inbox and, you know, get you to, you know, agree to certain things. And once you agree to certain things, now you know, you're one of them. We do have the history that I have with them sliding in my inbox and offering me fame and fortune. You can't offer me no fame and fortune, dog. I don't want that stuff, you know? So there you have a person like me that refused. But how many other people agreed, you know? How many other people? How many? There's probably millions of people, especially when at a certain point of time they was going around online just showing you stacks of money, stacks of cash and cash and cash, and you join, you get this, you join, you get this. Now they don't do that no more because I believe that they don't got them enough people, and they, you know what I mean, and they got enough. You know, they established an army, you know, a real live army of you know, opportunists, you know, that at any given moment they'll, you know, sell the closest thing to them for, you know, a piece of whatever they have to offer, you know. And you can't knock them. You can't knock anybody for it because, you know, not everybody is strong-willed, or not everybody has a certain level of, nah, I'm good in me. Know what I mean? They don't have that. You know, I'm good, dog. No, thank you. I appreciate it, but nah, that's okay. Or what do I have to do for this? Oh, don't worry about it. Nothing. Okay, I'll take it. And after you take it, now they tell you, you know, now you have to do this. Now you have to do that. You know, but that's just something that, you know, you've seen, and you know, like I said, you're not pointing no fingers at anybody, but if you know, justice is what if justice has to be served, and no one's exempt from it. You know, whether it's 100 years from now or 2,000 years from now, you know, justice have to be what justice is. You know, so you know, and when you see the baby, and you would think that he was canceled, but you know that was all part of a systematic thing to give way to another artist, so that another artist could have um, free reign. Because if he existed at the same time he existed, then they both would be. You know what I mean? So this is a way to manipulate um, artistry, like to have an artist on the forefront while this one is in the back. But you know, he still, you know, is he's still a part of it. It's just the moniker that he has for being a stand-up guy and being against this, you know, being against that. You know, that's the reason why he said they negotiated the release of the baby, because they're all in cahoots. They're all, there's not anybody that's in that circle that's not associated. You know, they can act like they're enemies. They could talk like they're enemies. All that stuff is for entertainment purposes. Like with NBA YoungBoy and NLE Chopper, all that's for entertainment purposes. They know that controversy sells, and if we could make this guy beef with this guy, that'll only increase sales. His fans will be more at odds with his fans, or he'll establish fans for all the people that was against him, but they'll be um, lingering on to what he says and wait for him to respond. And you know, now we got, you know, clashing. But you know, that's the reason why the baby wasn't on the front line, because you had another artist who they was promoting, that they was putting out in front of you. But as you can see from all the information or the type of energy that they're putting out, that these aren't good people. You wouldn't be behind somebody that, you know, has a, a violent, that violence is behind them. All these people, they are, like I said before, you know, these are, you know, liars, thieves, and murderers. You know, they all are behind some form of um, destruction, whether it's through the music or the people that they have conflict with. They meet their demise, and the baby, he been, you see what he did, you know, and you know, you see who's behind him. If you look at his video, you see what's behind him. Brick wall with 33 on it. You know, he's on a brick wall, and there's the 33 right there up top. You know, and then they all have black and white. And you know, the black and white is the checkerboard. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. But you know, these people aren't. You know, I don't think that they're. I don't think they even care that they. I mean, because you know, it's more people that want to associate themselves with it than more people that are against it. Even those that pretend to be against it are even with it. You know, they have this female that I seen online, and um, she works at like a either Amazon or something, that she delivers mail, but all her content that she puts out online is, you know, anti them. But you can tell from her demeanor that she's not really about anti them. She's just one that's being used as a honey trap to lure people in that's anti them, you know, to see how many people would take the bait and chime in and join in on the conversation. And as you join in on the conversation, you know how it goes. You get targeted, you know. So this is where you have the targeted people being targeted from the honeypot groups that lure people in, you know. you know. So they do use honeypots to lure people in. This is not nothing new. This is something that's just what it is. You know, we talked about honeypots for, you know, XYZ amount of time, you know, and it's not like it's not a tactic that's not being used, or you think that it's just with women luring you in, but it's not. It's sometimes with groups that are set up against other groups, and to find out who other people are. You know, they even have a movie from 1914, Cabria, and it has Moloch in it, and it's a silent movie. But inside the movie, they had spies even back then, you know, and they would spy on people and then figure out how to trap them off, and you get it. So this is a means of spying by setting things up to um, weed people out, you know. So that's just something that I felt like we're talking about, you know, because you know I seen it, and it wouldn't be fair to not share that, you know. Why is, you know, they doing the Moloch sign? They always doing that. They always caught doing that sign. Like, you know, you can do the wave, but you know, to catch you in that act, you know, these people are real bold, brazen, and they really don't. I mean, they really don't have a conscience or a soul in order for them to keep capturing that and just putting it in front of you. You know, yeah, you know, that's just what it is. You know, that's just what it is. Put it right in front of you, and you still don't have any kind of hold on, that's such and such. And even if they did say hold on, that's such and such, that's one of them. You know, only person that I know like me is me. You know, that when you say it, you say it, but you don't really, you know, you don't, you're not, yeah, such and such. You're saying like, yo, hmm, I have to wisen up. Yeah, I definitely have to, you know, change your ways. You know, definitely have to change your ways. You know, look at, you know, see my nose, how my nose look mad, um, red skinish. You know, my nose is kind of like um, Indianish. I got a certain nose. Only person I seen with my nose like, in what's the name? You know, she kind of got a funny nose like mine. Claire Danes from the Homeland. That's one of the reasons. That's something that brought my attention to that movie. Like, yo, she got a funny nose like mine. You know, maybe she's Indian or something. I don't know. Maybe she's native. I don't know. But you know, you have a funny nose. I just pointed that out. I just wanted to point that out about my nose. But yeah, man, that's just something that you've seen, and you're going to see more of Tiana Taylor because you know it's her time to shine. You know, right now, being that, like I said, being that it was shown to me, and it wasn't shown to me like by a person, like, hey man, look at that. You know, something that was shown to me spiritually, like, you know, it was laid on my spirit, like, yo, son, who is she? Why is she doing that pose? Like Jennifer Hudson. You've seen Jennifer Hudson do that a few times. Why did Jennifer Hudson do that? You seen her do it in this dress that she had. Now I can't find that photo anywhere, but she had a dress when she was doing that. And I said, what does that mean? You know, for some they say that's a symbol of distress, you know, that Masonic sign of distress, but I see it as the Moloch sign, the Moloch statue, the Moloch. statue, and being that it's Moloch statue, it signifies um, child sacrifice. You know? And like I said, you know, that was, you know, on the roster for me. You know, they was planning that for me. You know, that, yeah, you know, go get that procedure. Okay. And they was gonna put me to sleep. And God told me that if they put me to sleep, you're not gonna wake up. Don't get that procedure, bruh. I mean, they put you this because they didn't have to put me to sleep. Like I said, I seen that procedure done while the person alive, while the person was woke and still talking to him while they getting, I mean, the surgery done. And like I said, it's like right under my arm, you know. And being that it's under your arm, it's not anywhere that you're like you need it. You can see it, like you got a big ball on your back or something like that, you know. But I was like, nah, dog, I'm not getting that done. And they was kind of upset that I didn't go and get it done. You know, they was kind of mad. And I'm like, hold on, dog, y'all want to be one of them? Who promised y'all something? Freemasons promised y'all something? You know, why did they need to get rid of me? Who am I to them? You know, am I Harim Biff? You know, am I Jesus Christ to y'all? Who am I to y'all? You know, that y'all need to get rid of me. You know, what do y'all owe me that y'all don't want to give me, that y'all rather give to them? You know, so that's just something that I was thinking about. Like, why do they want me to go get that procedure? You know, so bad. You know, my King Tut. You know, they steal something from. You know, yeah, I don't know. That's just something that I was thinking about. Like, hold on, why is he so adamant about trying to get me to go and take that, have that surgery? What the hell is it that they want me to take the surgery for? What interest is it that they have in seeing me gone? You know, that they're willing to, you know, get a surgeon involved in it. You know, but God told me don't go and take that. Don't get that procedure. So I never got it. You know, never got it. So that's just something that I wanted to share. Uh, and yeah, they even have the Masons in England or in UK's London somewhere where they want them to be more transparent, and they're like, nah, we don't want to, you know, be transparent. We don't want to change our ways. So they want to sue the Metro Police in, I think, London. But when you look at the police, they been, you gotta understand, all of them is that, but they're just, you know, bringing attention to it to make it seem like they're not that. You know, if you see they got the checkered board hats, checkered on a flag, checkered on a poles, checkered on it, you know, it's all that. You know, it's all that. So, you know, I guess that's just a way to bring light to it and for them to assume some sort of um status of them having this dignified status. And no, you can't make us, you know, reveal our membership to y'all. That's not right. That's discriminatory. Well, that's the same thing as putting your race on the application. Are you black, white? Are you this, that, and the third? It's no different than that. You state your affiliation. You know, state who you are. And now You know, you people know how many Freemasons they work with, but that's just um that's that's just something for the news. They don't. They all that. They're not. They're not. I mean, escaping. Like I said, if they're not that, they something else associated with it. You know, and it's all everything is ran off of cliques and cults, and the only people that's hated is those that don't join cliques and cults. You know, we do have history of those that don't submit. You know, when you have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you know, where they stood firm with their God and wouldn't submit to a golden statue, and you know, they was thrown in the furnace. Then you had Christ, who, you know, was crucified. So we do have histories of people that um, don't side with any of them, you know, and because they don't side with them, they become the ones that are, you know, um, least favorable people, you know. So I just felt like sharing that, but yeah, something to think about. Why do they all, you know, have this certain level of success, but they all have a sibling, you know, and they doing fine and dandy. They just, you know, entertaining, uh, self-centered, making millions of dollars, being self-centered. You know, like I said, these are disgusting. That's disgusting, man. That's disgusting. Just thinking about it, you know, just thinking about it, that's just disgusting, man. Yeah. I'm just glad I'm not like that. You know, I'm just, you know, blessed that I am not like that. I'm so blessed that I am not one of the people that's like that. These are despicable people, you know, and that's the judgment on them. For anybody, you are a despicable person if you are one that allows your family or anybody for that matter, you know, to to perish so that you could, you know, have a certain status or to have anything. You're just a despicable person, disgusting. You know, that's just the way it is. You know, and justice should be sought for any and everybody that had to perish, and while you prospered, you know, those people should have their day in front of God for that. You know? I mean, I'm not sure how long it'll take, but yeah, those people should. And like I said, you're not uh, you're not one that accuses people, but you know the spirit of these people. You know, you're not the one that's accusing people, but you do know that they have a certain level of self-centeredness, and a self-centered person can and will do anything, you know, for their own benefit. Like I said, when I do see people on social media and they have 5,000 followers and then they're not following anybody. These are, I don't, I do not trust these people. they have 100,000 followers and not one follower. I do not trust these people. I do not trust these people at all. That's just what it is. I do not trust these people. You know, and they're not people that's worthy of trust. You follow me, I'm gonna follow you. You know, if I'm somebody to you, you somebody to me. Basically, that's basically what I'm saying. If I'm somebody to you, if I'm somebody to you, you're somebody to me. If you're somebody that can identify me, and I can identify you. But if you're somebody that's, you following me? Oh, I got 10,000 followers. I don't trust these people. And that's what it is online. That's the reason why I don't contend. That's the reason why I see, it's a competition going on online. These people aren't really gang stalked. These people are in competition, to be a part of an establishment, to get themselves likes, shares, and subscribe. These people ain't like me. I'm not contending with these people. So, go ahead. Y'all knock yourself out. But I'm always going to be me, and I'm only going to contend with myself. Because this thing right here, you can see, I don't care about being seen saying certain things that's on my mind, my heart to speak about. Who the hell is Tiana Taylor? I don't know her, but I know that she did the same sign that Jennifer Hudson did. And I know that she, lost her brother. And Jennifer Hudson lost her brother, sister, and I believe her mother. And if Jennifer Hudson, I don't, that's what I'm saying. I don't know these people, but what I do know of them is that, fame is, fame is a dangerous thing. Fame is a dangerous thing, especially in the system of these people, especially if you're known by these professional liars, especially if you're known by them. Fame is a dangerous thing, and the thing about that is, I don't want fame, and I don't need fame, but I know that there's not many people on here like me. And if you don't get the spirit of truth from a real person, then it's going to come from from a fake person, put it like that. It's going to come from somebody without the spirit. So they're going to make you feel, not convicted, but by me saying what I have to say and the way I have to say it, then maybe come with a certain level of conviction. Maybe it'll touch somebody. Maybe it'll make somebody say, whoa, that is disgusting. I don't want to be like no Cardi B or no Megan Thee Stallion or no Scarlett or no Tiana Taylor or no Jennifer Hudson or no Oprah. Oprah, yeah, she's a billionaire, but at what expense did that come? You know what I mean? Yeah, Cardi B's on the front line, but at what expense did that come? Yeah, we see Scarlett turning up and being an influence to, these young chicks and, advocating his gang and his gangster stuff. And, at what expense did that come? To influence people to, be a certain kind of way and to keep feeding them that energy. Same thing with the baby. Same thing with the baby. To keep feeding them this energy. We trying to get people stop being YNs, and you're speaking to them. You're making a letter to them, letter to YN. And the thing about that is, the songs sound good, but, no, you don't deny, a person that you know, could write a beat and that sound good, you know, you're not going to deny that. But, you know, we know what the baby does. And that's what I believe Cat Williams stated one time. And as you see before, you know, I shared some of Cat Williams stuff. But Cat Williams is no different from them. You know, Cat Williams is one of them. Somebody just recently said that I look like the T-Move Cat Williams. And I said, nah, Cat Williams could never. You know, I'm way more handsome than Cat Williams would ever be. I'm more taller. Me personally, Cat Williams, not saying he's an ugly person, but, you know, my lips is a lot more, you know, I'm way taller than Cat Williams. I'm like 6'1", and Cat Williams is probably like 5 and some. I don't know. I don't know, but I know that Cat Williams could never, not with even with all his money, he couldn't contend with me. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to be Cat Williams. Basically, that's what I'm saying. You know, I don't care nothing about his money or whatever. But no, that's a he. I mean, he could be a version of me. I don't know. Him, Mike Tyson, a couple of people could be a version of me. I don't know. But nah, Cat Williams could never. But yeah, he's Cat Williams is one of them, and he does have some sort of understanding of certain things. But yeah, nah, he said he get their secrets and run back and tell y'all. Cat Williams don't do that. Cat Williams is a puppet just like everybody else is. You know, except for those that don't have that's wireless. Except for those that are wireless. I'm one that would be considered wireless. I mean, I don't have no strings attached. I don't come with no strings attached, so there's no puppet master behind me. There's only big old God behind me, and that's it. I mean, a righteous God behind me that says, yo, telling people that that's disgusting. If y'all even thinking about doing that, or if it don't bother you, then that's disgusting to you. If that don't bother you, if what Kanye West don't told you don't bother you, then you're a disgusting person, you know. And that's just what it is, you know. And again, some people's heart is bigger than their mouth, so it's hard to make these people be quiet because that means that you have to stop their heart in order for them to shut up. Mm. Mm. That's just what it is, you know. So yeah, yeah, yeah.